Alright, so this is going to be a very in-depth tutorial on how I make. This is going to be all my tricks, how I make a full header from start to finish, all the text, everything. I don't know, I just feel like with a lot of other tutorials, I kind of skipped around a few parts, but this is the one where I'm gonna show you absolutely everything I do, and no secrets, anymore, because this is it. This is all I do, and if you do want to buy the PSD, I will put it in the description. It should be a few bucks. I know you probably don't want to pay for it, but if you do, just remember you're supporting me, because college is very, very expensive, and you do make a huge difference when you do support me and buy a PSD off of my store there. So, please do take a look if you can, and it would be much appreciated. Thank you so much, and let's get into it. So, pretty much, you see what I did for the first few parts. I made a file 1500 by 500 high, then I added my render, and then I'm going to take this is a stock from the Insanity pack. I'm just going to drag it over and put it in the background. I'm also going to make sure the background is black right there. I'm going to make a solid color, and it's going to be black, and I'm going to actually make a hue and saturation layer above the background. As you can see, I hit that half circle there type thing, and then I took the slider down for saturation and made it all black and white. Then after that, I'm going to make a layer above the background, and I'm going to get a big soft brush, and I'm going to make it kind of, I guess, like a burgundy maroon type color. I'm just going to paint it behind the character, and then I'm going to make another layer above that, and I'm just going to get white, and then I'm going to put that even closer. As you can see, I did right there. Pretty simple. And then another layer above those two, and then I'm going to get black, and I'm just going to paint the background so it's more dark and it stands out. Now, you're going to select the maroon layer right there, and you're going to see which blending mode I go for it. Right here, I'm just going to mess around. Whatever works best, I'm going to go with. As you can see right here, soft light looks alright, but you're going to see I go with one right here. I forget which one. I think it's just like hue or saturation or color or something. Yeah, I went with color right there. And then after that, I turned the opacity down slightly, and then I actually went to the white layer, and then I messed with the blending mode for that one as well. The white one, I think I just set to overlay or soft light, and then with the back one, the black one, the one all the way in front, that one I just I think I kept it normal, and then just like turned the opacity down a little bit. This doesn't matter a ton, it's going to be covered in the end. Alright, hopefully you're all caught up, but we're going to continue going right here. We're going to select the render layer, create a layer above it, and then right click, and then hit create clipping mask. Then we're going to get a soft burgundy brush, paint over the whole thing, and then set it to color, or whichever works best. I think I went with color, I went with saturation, and then I turned it down quite a bit. Then after that, I did the same thing. I made another layer, right click, create clipping mask, if you want to do it that way. Then this time I just painted around it a bit more. I left the kind of center a bit less burgundy-ish. And then I went to soft light right there. It turned out pretty good. I turned the opacity down a little bit for that one as well. And then after that, I think I am going to make one more, but I might do it later. But for now, I'm going to actually create another layer above it as well. And then I'm going to get the color black, and I'm just going to create some black splotches kind of at the bottom there, and at the tip of the gun there, and then on the right side of him, kind of towards the edge of the header. And then with that, you're gonna mess with the blending mode for that one like you did. Whatever works best. It doesn't make a huge difference. But then after that, you're going to create another layer, another clipping mask like you did with all the other ones, big soft light brush, and then make some splotches right there, kind of in the center and on some focus points of the render itself. Then after that, I'm going to set that to overlay, just so it gives it a bit more contrast and, just more focus to some of the points of which you painted white. Then after that, you're going to create a layer behind the render itself, and then create some magenta splotches. As you can see, I did it right there. Then just go with the blending modes and see which one works best right there. I do think I went with overlay or soft light at the end. We'll see which one I went with. So I did go with overlay at the end right there, and then I'm going to create another layer above everything. and this is going to be a clipping mask like with the other ones we did before. And then you're actually going to get magenta, and you're going to paint only the sides of the render and the top and all that, just like the edges of it. And then you're going to mess with the blending mode as well, like with everything else after. I did paint the bottom too, just like the sides and not the middle, because you are going to have a glow behind it, so you are going to want to make sure everything blends. And then I went with overlay right there. Pretty simple. It looks weird at first, but once you add the glow in the background, it'll all blend together and it'll look pretty nice. Alright, same thing that we did before. Make sure it's a clipping mask above all the other layers, and yeah, clipping mask on the render. And then you're gonna have a big soft white brush, well, kind of a smaller one, but you're just gonna paint some highlights right there. Make sure there is variation. You don't want to like outline it, you want to make sure there's just like certain splotches, because if you just kind of outline it, it'll look really weird. You kind of want there to be repetition and variation when you do these types of glows, I guess you could say. But then I did set the blending mode to either soft light or overlay. Either works best. It's just whatever works best with your render at the moment. And then right here I did take a magenta brush and then I put it behind the layer of the render like I did with the other glow, but it is going to be a lot lighter red because I did do the darker one first, so make sure this is a lot more, I guess, warm and just like a lighter color in general. But you're going to get kind of a smaller brush than you did before, and you're going to add some highlights right there, then mess with the blending mode right there like I went with color dodge right there. As you can see, it doesn't look too bad, and we're going to create another layer above that, but we're going to hit white this time. And this is just going to be for some nice glow, and I do 2 layers of white. I do one, and then I mess with the blending mode, and then I do one other one, and it's just white. It's really sharp, and I don't mess with the blending mode at all. And then right here, I'm going to get a smaller white brush, and you're going to see I'm going to add some very small but sharp highlights at like the edge of the mask there, and the different parts of the mask, and on the shoulder probably. Do not go crazy with this part because you don't want too much white glow. You're going to have enough random glow in the end as it is. After you add all that white glow, get a black brush, and you're going to kind of do the same thing but on the right side with a dark glow. This is just going to add more variation when it comes to the glow, and it'll make the other side stand out more. It'll just look really nice. But I'm going to do this a couple times. I'm going to turn down the opacity on some of the layers, and then I'm going to create a clipping mask and kind of paint black parts on the side of that mask, on the thing that hangs off, so the lighting kind of makes more sense. Alright, and then here we're going to put an explosion behind the character in front of the kind of, I guess, the lighting in the background. And there are explosions in most every common pack, like the Insanity pack I'd recommend. And, you know, there's just some simple packs that have a lot of good explosions. But anyway, this one, I'm just going to put a hue and saturation clipping mask over it and, you know, turn the saturation all the way up, and then just color correct it with the hue so it looks right. Then you can also mess with the blending mode if you really want to go the extra mile, but a lot of them do look pretty bad, so you're going to have to be pretty careful with this one to make sure it's not too bright like it is right there, and just to color correct it and make sure it looks right. It's pretty simple, just make sure it blends in with everything. You'll be able to figure it out. Then right here, I'm taking a big black brush and I'm kind of just painting over the background because I am going to add more glow over it, and it was starting to stick out quite a bit. Don't paint over the render too much, maybe on the right side for a little bit of blending, but don't go crazy with this part. Then right here with the core pack, I'm going to take this weird splash type thing that a lot of people use. It's pretty common, but I'm going to blend it so it's not recognizable. So I put it behind the character where all the glow is, and it's just going to give it some more variation with the glow, if that makes any sense. I'm taking a smoke from the Welcome to the Future pack. These are free. Most of these are free packs actually, but then again, if you don't want to go through all this trouble of making it and getting all the packs, of course you could buy the PSD from me if you want. That would be great. Please help me. College is very expensive. Please and thank you. But yeah, back to the tutorial. We're gonna take this and put it all the way to the right, kind of off the screen. And then you're gonna, you know, hit enter when you're good, put another layer above it, make sure it's a clipping mask, and then you're gonna paint over it red. And it's gonna look weird obviously right now, but mess with the blending mode of the red to make sure it looks alright, like something bright like that. And it really matters just whatever render you're using, whatever your background looks like, however much you want it to stick out, but you don't want to go crazy with this. As you can see, I'm gonna make a pretty light white in the end because the text that I make later sticks out a ton, so don't go super crazy. But I'm not going to show you how to do the next few smokes because it's just the same thing. I'm painting a little shadow there, that doesn't really matter too much. You know how to do that, just create another layer above it, then just paint a little shadow under it if you want to do that, but you don't have to do that. But I'm doing that same thing for all these other shadows that I'm putting in right here, and as you can see I changed the blending mode, I'm making them a lot more light. icons that people like to put in. I've been putting them in. It kind of breaks it up and gives it some better texture. But make sure you are using a hard round brush, as we were using a soft round brush before, and make it maybe like 5 points, 4 points, 3 points, whatever looks best to you. But yeah, just like draw in some little things. These are going to be pretty small and not super noticeable. So I just put in like a little exclamation point, a cloud, a little X right there. You know, these are kind of fun and they break it up and give it a little bit of variation. I quite like these, and I painted a little crown there. Alright, and then here we're going to use the Max DG Lightroom as everyone uses. Yes, it is a paid Lightroom. If you do not want to pay for it, once again, you can buy the PSD, and you can probably DM me on Twitter, and I can make text for you if you want, if you buy it. If you prove that you buy it, I'll do that for you. But anyway, I cannot give you a cracked copy of this or anything like that. It's his work. I'm not going to give it away. I get a lot of people asking for copies. You know, I can't give someone else's hard work away like that. That's just... yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. But anyway, I'm going to use the font chunk right here. As you can see right here, I'm just seeing what works best. It's a free-to-use font. Make sure your fonts are free for commercial use if you're using them for any type of monetization or anything like that. But I'm just using that, and then I'm just going to render it. I already kind of changed the angle of it to whatever I want, and I already messed with it right there. As you can see, I'm just going to hit that little thing right there. Make sure your output paths are good, and it's going to render. Then you're going to go to File, Place Embedded, and then place it in, and then you're going to kind of put it behind the render, and then you're going to erase some of the black parts that are covering the text, like how we painted in the black background. You're just going to kind of want to erase that over the text so it stands out, like right there. Alright, big red brush, and you're going to create a clipping mask above the text. You're just going to paint it in a light red, and then you're going to set the blending mode to whatever works best. I do think I went with color in the end. Oh no, I didn't. I went with overlay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Go with overlay, and then after that, create another layer above that. Then you're just going to create little white spots over the text. You're going to see me do it right here, little white spots, and then you're going to set the blending mode to maybe overlay or soft light or vivid light. See, I'm painting the little white spots. Make sure you have a soft brush for this. And yeah, after that, you just mess with the blending mode and then mess with the opacity to make sure it doesn't turn out too much. So you can see I went with overlay, and then I turned it down quite a bit right here. Alright, and then this is how to do the weird expanded glow thing that a lot of people want to see and are wondering how I do, like the kind of stroke that's away from the text. Anyway, so you're going to get your magic wand tool, hit Ctrl J on the text to make a new layer. Then you're just going to select all the text by, clicking one part, hitting Shift, and then just clicking every single part of the text. Then you're going to go to Filter, Modify, Expand, and then you're going to expand it by maybe, I think I went with 20 pixels here, 20 pixels here. And then you're just going to get a big white brush and then paint the entire thing. Alright, and then once you have it all painted in, just make sure you convert it to a smart object, right click, convert to smart object, then right click, rasterize layer, and then turn the fill all the way off on that layer, and then create a very small light stroke right here. And then after that, create a very small drop shadow right here. It's not crazy to do. I'd actually recommend converting the stroke to a smart object first, and then rasterizing, and then putting in a drop shadow after, so it's on like both sides. You're gonna see me do it right here. Alright, before I put in the drop shadow, I'm actually gonna go with filter, distort, and then ripple. And then I'm going to put it with this amount, very small. This is just the stroke with no drop shadow yet. Then as you can see, it'll kind of mess it up a little bit. So then you're going to go to blending options, right click on the layer blending options, and then you add your drop shadow right there. As you can see, it does look really weird, so I don't want to go crazy with it, so I'm going to turn the opacity down quite a bit and make it darker. Nothing crazy, but then that's good for that, and then we'll get on with the chrome effect. Alright, and now that we have that all set, we'll start with the chrome effect. So make sure you have a blank layer of the text. It's going to be gray like this, obviously. So create a layer above it, make sure it's a clipping mask, and then paint over it with a light red to start off with. And again, this is going to be above your original colored text. So with this, make sure you set that the red layer to color. Then you're just going to select both of them, convert both to a smart object, and then rasterize the layer that you have. And then after that, go to filter, filter gallery, and then you're going to select chrome. This is going to be under, I believe, you'll see me select it here. I think it's the lowest one. Oh wait, no, you start out with, you start with chrome, you select it, it's on the lowest, second to lowest one, you'll see it'll say chrome. You can see the amount of detail and stuff I'm using. You could copy that over if you want. But then you're going to make sure that is set to overlay. As you can see, it looks kind of decent right there. But then after this, we're actually going to add glowing edges to it, and we're going to paint the background of the letters. So the caps of the letters will be red, and then the back will be blue. So for the glowing edges, make sure you do Control J, and you're going to have another blank copy of the text right here. Go to Filter, Filter Gallery right here, and then you're going to select Glowing Edges. You're going to see it's going to look weird at first, but you mess with the blending mode. But you're going to see the settings I have for it once I select it. It's just going to be, yeah, very blank, very like, but it makes a slight difference. I'd recommend doing this highly because, yeah, it kind of gives it more emphasis on the caps. Alright, there we go, and then select for blending mode. You can see whichever one works best for you. I did go with that one right there, so make sure you copy that over. And then pretty much after this, I'm going to get a blue brush and then just kind of paint on where the sides of the text are, and then I'm going to set the blending mode to color, and it will turn the sides of the text blue. Pretty simple. And now that we have that done, we're going to get another blue brush and we're going to paint the entire right side of this. Make sure when you create a layer to do this, it is above everything. You want everything to change in color when you do this. Make sure it's a soft brush. You can go with some detail first and then kind of make it larger at the end so it doesn't take too long. Then you're going to see me mess with the blending option here. You can go with color, soft light, whatever you want. You can see I did go with hue there. Nope, I didn't. I went with color. Yeah, go with color, and then after that, we're going to add just some more stuff in the background. As you can see, here's a PNG of a slurpfish. Add it above everything, and then we're going to go over how to do this. So to start out, you're just going to mess with the blending mode to see if anything works. I went with just regular there. And then create a layer above that, and then just paint it blue, and then set the blending mode to whatever looks best. And you can see I'm going to select one right here. I go with hue, and I create another one above that. And then I'm going to actually get a black color. I'm going to add shadows by the edge there. And I believe I'm going to set it to like overlay or something like that. You don't want it to stand out too much, even though you're going to blur it in the end. But go with overlay or soft light or whatever you want, whatever looks best. You can see right here I went with overlay. Then after that, I created another layer above all of that, and I didn't really do anything with that layer, so I'm going to actually select the slurpfish layer. I'm going to go to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. Gaussian blur isn't great unless it's for specific objects. If you're going to do it with a background, you're going to want to use field blur. If you're going to want, motion blur for anything that's in motion, I'll use that for the grenade. But anyway, you're going to see I'll put a brightness and contrast layer, and I'm going to turn the contrast all the way up and the brightness down quite a little bit. And after that, I'm going to do the same thing but with a grenade and I believe with a stink bomb. Pretty much, it's self-explanatory. You do the same thing for the slurpfish that you do for these, except with the grenade I do use motion blur. Very simple. You just go to filter, blur, motion blur instead of filter, blur, Gaussian blur. It's very simple. You're just going to do the same for these three, and then I do add something in the background there. It's not super important. You don't need to do that. But then after that, I'm going to skip around for a while and we will do the camera raw filter. Alright, so you're going to pretty much save this as a JPEG or a PNG, and then you're going to go to File, Place Embedded, and place a picture of this over it. Then you're going to make sure it's rasterized, and then go to Filter and Camera Raw Filter. Now, what you're doing with the camera raw filter is you were taking your almost finished project, and you were filtering it, you were color correcting it, you're putting in green if you want, you're putting whatever you want. And I'm going to speed this up, but you can copy whatever settings that I use right here. You see I am going to pump up a lot of the things. I think I turned the shadows down so it's a bit less dark. I do turn the saturation up for a lot of them. I enhance a lot of the reds, a lot of the blues, but it's going to look a lot better once you're done with it. I do add grain as well, and I mess with the sliders and all of that. This is a huge step that you have to do if you are going to... Number one, I'm not using color correction for this one. This is my color correction. You do not need a pack that has color correction if you're going to do this, but you need to know what you want it to look like. So, if you don't want to go through the pain of this, by the way, for the fourth time, I am so sorry, but you can buy the PSD for it if you want. But yeah, after that, you'll see what I'm gonna do, and that'll be it. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, I'll probably put the assets in the description once it hits a certain amount of likes. The assets being the render itself, the font I use, the smoke PNGs I use. They're all from free packs, so I'll be sure to credit which packs they are in. But thanks so much for watching, and yeah, help me reach 8K subs, and we'll keep going from there and see what happens. See y'all later. Bye.